So in this video I'll cover everything about dry wines, like what are the dry wines, how many types of dry wines are there if it is, and what makes a wine dry wine, and are the dry wine healthier than other wines. So most of the wines are dry wines. If dry wines are all the wines which have the residual sugar content less than 1%. I'll also cover different categories of dry wines as well, like there's a bone dry, then there's a semi-dry, then there's a semi-sweet, and then there's a sweet wine. So the dryness of this is measured by the residual sugar content. So but if you talk about the healthier option, yes, red wines are relatively better than the white wines. Welcome back to my channel, guys. My name is Harsh and you are watching Wines Guru India, where I'll explain you about the wine processes and all the things related to wines. And in today's video, I'll be covering what are dry wines. So you might have heard about this term, dry wines. What does this mean? So in this video I'll cover everything about dry wines, like what are the dry wines, how many types of dry wines are there if it is, and what makes a wine dry wine, and are the dry wine healthier than other wines. So people say that what are the healthy wines, so I'll be covering everything in this video, so stay tuned and watch the video till the end. You will get to know a lot of things about dry wines today. And without any further delay, let's get started. So starting with the first thing first, what are dry wines? So if I take you through the simple process of fermentation, and I'll cover it in brief. So the white grapes or the red grapes are taken. For the whites, they press the grapes and they take the grape juices for fermentation. And as you know, once they pluck the grapes, the grapes have the specific residual sugar in them, and during fermentation those residual sugar content is converted into alcohol. And it doesn't happen like, so it may happen, so most of the wines are dry wines, if I would say, because the residual sugar content is approximately 1%. So any wine, in short, if I had to conclude or say put the definition in short, what are dry wines? So dry wines are all the wines which have the residual sugar content less than 1%. It could be like 2 to 3 grams per liter. Most of the red wines are dry, and most of the white wines are, you can say they are dry but less dry than than reds. So in short, if I had to cover what are dry wines, so dry wines are all the wines which have which the grape sugars are converted into alcohol, and it tastes less sweet, and those are known as dry wines. So if I had to differentiate between different wines, so there are wines which are dry, and then the wines which are sweet, and in between there are some bone dry, then it is semi-dry, then it's semi-sweet. Dry wines usually have residual sugar content of approximately 1% or less. Those are known as dry wines. And wines which have more residual sugar content can be termed under the category of semi-sweet wines, or say sweet wines, or say even dessert wines. So these are all the terms that are associated with a different residual sugar content inside the wine. I'll also cover different categories of dry wines as well, like there's a bone dry, then there's a semi-dry, then there's a semi-sweet, and then there's a sweet wine. So I'll let you know about those all residual sugar content later in this video. So if you just have a look at this chart that I have attached, you will see that there are some other categories of dry wines as well, like there are bone dry, then there is dry, then there is semi-sweet or semi-sweet or sweet wine, and then there is a very sweet category. And also, if I tell you about the bone dry category, so they could be like Tanat, Nebbiolo, and Sagrantino, which is, or say French Malbec. These are all the wines that could be bone dry, which is like there are no residual sugars left in them, barely any residual sugar left in them. And then it could be Chianti, Bordeaux, Tempranillo, Aglianico, Italian Barbera. These are also comes under bone dry category. They could make the wines bone dry. And then if you talk about the other dry wines, then it will be Sangiovese, then Carmenere, Cabernet Franc. These are the wines that come under the dry category. And also Shiraz, Malbec, Zinfandel, Monastrell, Primitivo, GSM blend. GSM is like a Grenache Syrah Mourvedre blend. And as you can see, there are some other examples as well. But if I take you to the other slide, or say other sweetness chart, you will see the dryness of this is measured by the residual sugar content. So dry wines can be termed as all the wines which have any residual sugar content ranging from 0 to 9 grams per liter. Then there is the off dry category, which has the residual sugar content of approximately 9 to 18 grams per liter. And if you talk about the semi-sweet or medium dry category, it could be approximately around 18 to 50 grams per liter of residual sugar. When it comes to medium sweet, then it will be approximately 50 to 120 grams per liter. And when it comes to very sweet and sweet wines, then it will be 220 grams and above. And if I talk you through the different examples and the different dry wines, so any dry wine could be any dry red, white, Lambrusco Secco is a dry, extra dry champagne that you see comes under the off dry category. Then demi-sec Vouvray can range from very dry to off dry to semi sweet. And then there are different wines, as you can see. Sauternes comes under the very sweet category, and also Madeira, if you see, it's a medium sweet to sweet category, towards the sweet category. German Trockenbeer and Augelese Riesling and ice wine comes under the very sweet category as well. So through this chart, you recognized how dry a wine could be and how sweet a wine could be. So instead of making this video like what is dry wine, it could be how sweet wines are made, or say what are the sweet wines. So it's one and the same thing, you can say, because everything is related to sweet wines, or say the residual sugar content. Alright, if you think that you are getting some information through this video about wines, do comment down and let me know how do you like it. And like this video, share it to your friends who you think they want to know more about the wines, and do subscribe to my channel as well. Alright, so now we will discuss, are the red wines good for health? Well, if you see, as I mentioned before in this video, red wines have relatively less residual sugar than whites, and whites have relatively more residual sugar content than reds. Most of the red will be having anywhere between 1 to 2 grams per liter of residual sugar, which is necessary because all these things give the body to the wine. I'll discuss that point later. But if you talk about the healthier option, yes, red wines are relatively better than the white wines when it comes to the health aspect. But being said that, you should drink anything in moderation. 150 milliliter per day is kind of a safe option, but definitely you have to consult, and you should consult your doctor before starting this routine if you want to get into the red wines. Most of the diabetics feel that they should have some red wine, but again, I would appreciate and I would recommend you guys not to go for the cheap red wine. Go for some good quality wines from France, Italy and different places, and definitely look for something which is high in quality, because if you look for something which is lower in quality, there might be chances that they have added the sugar, because it could happen in some budget segment wines that they add a little bit sugar just to give the more balanced and rounded approach to the wine. So when it comes to diabetic people, I would always recommend to go for a red wine than white wines. White wines have more residual sugar content than reds, so go for the reds. So now the thing comes, how to check for the dryness. Well, just to let you know how to check for the dryness, there are a couple of ways. I'm not saying it's a foolproof, but yes, you can take these things into consideration and you can check those aspects and those characters in the wine. Just for example, if you check for the color and through the side by eyes, if you look at the wine, it could tell you a lot of things about the wine. So as the wine gets drier, it gets more lighter color, and as the color gets darker, it's more residual sugar content. So just keep in mind, if you see any dark color wine, if it's kind of a dark rosé, that means it is more on residual sugar content than if it is a salmon pink kind of rosé, that will be more of a drier rosé. Also with the white, if it is more dark, it will be having more residual sugar content, and if it is very light, it will be having very low residual sugar content. But again, this is just a kind of random method to check how dry the wines are. And also if the wine is having more residual sugar content, you will see that when you swirl the glass, you might have seen people swirling the glass, and you will see the glass, the wine sticks on the say walls of the glass, and it creates very thick lines and say tears and legs that you might have heard about. So those are also formed due to high residual sugar content. Also, people say that what are the meaning, or what's the meaning of those legs? So it could happen due to the if I had to put it in a very simple words, the gravitation, the evaporation, and that is known as Gibbs-Marangoni effect. And I'll not take a long explaining about Gibbs-Marangoni effect. In simple language, it could tell you about the density of the wine, the viscosity of the wine, and also if it is high in residual sugar content, it will make more thick, or say thicker lines as usual. And the second way to judge how a dry wine tastes like, so if you just take a wine and take a sip, it will be more on an acidic side. If it is more acidic, that means it's on a drier side as well. And if it is more floral and fruity, of course, it will be having more residual sugar content in them. So then the question comes, all the dry wines better or not? Well, if you consider that, dry wines have residual sugar content in them as well, though in very small quantity, but yes, even the dry wines have some residual sugar content. If there is no residual sugar content, it will be lacking its body. So body, I have made a video on what is the body of a wine. If you want to have a look, you can, otherwise you can just comment down, I'll explain you in detail. Body of a wine consists of the tannins, consists of alcohol, consists of residual sugar, consists of the acidity. So these 4-5 things make the body of a wine. If you take away any one of them, at the end of the day you will be left with a very flabby wine, very flat wine. It will not be having its body, it will not be well rounded. So you can say residual sugar content, or the sugars which are not converted practically into alcohol, gives the body to the wine and gives the rounded finish to the wine, gives the viscosity, gives the mouth feel to the wine as well. So these residual sugar content, if you take away, it will not be a balanced wine at the end. But at the end, everything comes on personal preference as well. So what happens is there are a lot of people who have their palate calibrated towards less acceptability to sugars, or say residual sugars. So they think that they feel more sweet sensation when they have some wine. On the other hand, some other person has the same wine and they feel it's totally dry. So it's totally upon the person's palate, and also upon the personal preference of the wine. Some people like to have some dry wines, some people like to have some off-dry wines, which they think it's a little bit on a sweeter side. So again, it's totally depends upon the personal preference. And at the end, ultimately it depends upon you how you like your wine to be. So it's always better to taste the wine and judge it by yourself. Alright, so the pro tip for the day is drink what you like, because even if someone is more towards the dry wine, or if you are into the sweet wine, it doesn't matter. You should enjoy what you like. If you enjoy sweet, you drink sweet. If you enjoy dry, you drink dry. Okay, so thank you so much for watching the video till the end. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something from this video about dry wines. And if you did, just comment down below and let me know if you need any specific topic that I should cover about wines. And I would love to see your comments. And also, if you enjoyed this video, just hit a thumbs up and like. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and also share this video to someone of your friends who you think wants to or should know about dry wines. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care, stay safe, drink responsibly, and Jai Hind.